Let's get started. Thank you everybody again for joining today's virtual offers hours. My name is Dana and I'm the research analyst with the dashboard. And in today's session, we'll give you a brief history of the dashboard and provide you with a site walkthrough where we'll dive a little bit into the data. So just bear with me and we can get started. I'm also joined today by Hannah Wade, who is our senior population health policy analyst. And you have any questions at any point during today's session, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll end today's session with a live Q&A, at which point you're welcome to come off of mute and I can answer some of your questions then. Okay. So until now, rigorous nonpartisan data on health and the conditions that affect health have not been widely available at the congressional district level. We created the dashboard and launched in January of 2023 to address this challenge. As its first of a kind tool, our mission is to provide rigorous, accessible, and nonpartisan data on health and conditions that affect health at the congressional district level. And so our goal with the dashboard is to provide users with an array of actionable and nonpartisan data at the congressional district level to drive positive change at the district, state, and national level. Data by itself can't change policy, but it is an important facet in doing so. Data can illuminate challenges and assets in communities that might have otherwise been hidden. Data can also inform effective policy solutions, and data can also be used to hold leaders accountable. The data on our site can provide information that can support data decision-driven making. So we built this tool to be helpful for a wide audience. Think elected officials and their staff, advocates, journalists, researchers, the general public, just anybody that has an interest on data on that congressional district level. Our team at NYU Grossman School of Medicine's Department of Population Health built this dashboard off the success of our City Health Dashboard, which we launched in 2018. Our partners include the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Bipartisan Policy Center, and the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. So the big question is, what do we measure? We have a total of 37 measures on health and its drivers, and they're organized into 5 different domains. So as you can see here, our first domain is the health outcomes domain, and some metrics include breast cancer deaths, high blood pressure, and obesity. We have social and economic factors, which include broadband connection, chronic absenteeism, and high school completion. We also have the health behaviors, physical environment, and also the clinical care domains. Those metrics that are shown with an asterisk indicate times when we have demographic breakdowns available, so race, ethnicity, and sex. And for any metrics that have the triangle, that is where we have the census tract or neighborhood level data for that metric. So the Congressional District Health Dashboard data is drawn from federal sources and other data sets that adhere to rigorous standards of data analysis and collection. So these include the U.S. Census Bureau, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Environmental Protection Agency. All of our measures aim to be actionable and reflect public health priorities. Our team of population health and policy experts, epidemiologists, and geospatial specialists regularly update the site with new years of data as they become available, new measures or metrics across the 5 overarching domains. And that is all that we had for our brief history, and we can pause here and give time to see if anybody has any questions. You can feel free and put them in the chat. I'm just gonna double check now, and it looks like we're good. So I am going to bring us to the site walkthrough now. And okay, awesome. So yeah, let's get started. So when you go to the Congressional District Health Dashboard site, you're brought to our main page here, in which you can enter in an address if you don't know what congressional district you want to look at and what you're in, or you can put in the district if you know that you have one that you're interested in looking at. So let's just say I'm going to look at Oregon's first. So it brings you to the first section of our site, which is the district snapshots page. This feature provides you with information of your district kind of at a glance. We include the metrics overview section here, and that includes all of the dashboard metrics and in the district estimates. You can see how the district is performing compared to the US average on the right over here. We also include a district facts page. So that also includes the district's population charts by age and the race and ethnicity and state and representation and district level of representation also down here if you are interested. So I'm going to navigate back over to the metrics overview slide. So this section also has the option for you to filter by the domain of interest and the comparison legend, which you can see for the US average over here. So at a glance, you'll have all of those estimates in one. So let's say I go to the site and I'm interested in looking at social and economic factors because I'm interested in looking at education. So I'll filter for that, and I can see how Oregon's first district performs for all those metrics under that domain and the comparison on the US average. So I'm really interested in high school completion, let's say. So I'll scroll down here. I can see that 92.9% of adults that are at 25 years old or older have a high school diploma or equivalent or a higher degree. And that actually is just around the US average, as you can see here with the yellow triangle. So that is great information for me. I kind of want to dive a little bit more and see how that metric compares in Oregon's first district. So go ahead, you can click on that metric specifically over here. Go ahead and bring in the congressional district that you were looking at. And this is the second section of our site. So kind of diving right in specifically to the estimate. This is where you can explore all of the dashboard metrics by state, and you can also easily move between the different metrics, the metric time periods, and also change the comparison value too. So in this case, it defaults to the US average, but you can also change that to the state average for your use. And so this is great. And this metric also has neighborhood level data available. So you can go ahead and toggle that on. And you can see the breakdowns of high school completion, Oregon's first, at that neighborhood level. So wanting to also mention that our site's colors are uniform across. So in any instance you see lighter colors will indicate better outcomes, and darker colors mean poorer outcomes. So you can see that here in the distribution, there may be some areas that are doing a little bit better than others, and kind of right across this line right here, looks like they're doing okay with high school completion. So that is all great information for me. I've got that left bar that can help me also change time periods. So if I wanted to look back a year or a couple years, I can go ahead and toggle that on. And that is great information. And I know a little bit more about that distribution and how it looks. But I kind of wanted to dive a little bit further. I wanted to know what the demographic breakdowns are. I can scroll down here and click on that demographics breakdown, and it brings me to the next section of the site. So this page kind of is that feature where you can see the breakdowns by racial and ethnic groups, age, and also sex for some metrics. And so now we're going to dive into the newest section of our site, which is the Compare Districts section. This tool we actually just launched in June of 2024. And you can use it to compare all 37 metrics across every district or state in the nation. So I'll stick with the same theme. I'm going to click on high school completion. I'm going to put in Oregon's first. Brings it up to this section of the site. I can see right at the top, there's two ways of looking at that. We have the scale bar, and then it looks like we have a card over here. So I go in and I want to compare Oregon's first districts and high school completion across some other districts in Oregon. I can click on and select those. And I also kind of want to look at the state. So let's also select that. Right at the top, you can see that scale bar is going to be the US average, and all of the comparators that you select are going to be right below. The triangle indicates where that falls on that scale bar. And then at the bottom here, it has those cards where it has that sense-making statement for you to better understand like how the district is doing and where they fall in the estimate compared to the national average. So it also highlights here the section in which that district is under on the map. So now I can also dive into the metrics background section. So I have all this great new info about high school completion, and I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about why the dashboard measures it and how it measures it. You can go onto this page and select on the one of interest. So sticking with the same theme again, going to stick with high school completion, and it has more information about how we calculate it and all of that good stuff. And lastly, I wanted to bring everyone to our one of the key things about our dashboard is that all of our data is fully accessible and free to everyone for use. You can click on that. It brings you to this brief survey that you'll just fill out, and then it'll kind of bring you back to the page automatically, and you can download all of the district's data, their state data, or all of the data that we have on the site completely, and for your use and further analysis. But that is all that I had for the site walkthrough. I can pause here again to see if anybody has any questions in the chat. Hannah, are there any questions?
No questions yet. Okay. Feel free to post in the chat.
Awesome. So I'm going to bring us back to our little PowerPoint. Okay. So now we've done some history of the dashboard, and we also did our site walkthrough. And we also highlighted the Compare Districts feature tool, which we just launched last month. But that is pretty much all that I had for today's session. I can open the floor up to questions now. Feel free to put them in the chat or bring yourself off of mute at this point. And if you don't have any questions, you can stay in touch by subscribing via the QR code or also navigating to some of these links, which we will be posting in the chat in a moment.